What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, yes, you read the title correctly. I believe that I have found the perfect free agent for the Detroit Lions to sign. Out of everybody in free agency that is still available, I believe that Timmy Jernigan, defensive tackle formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens, is the perfect fit and the perfect guy for the Detroit Lions to sign in free agency to not only give a boost to our defensive line, but our defense as a whole. Now, before we do get into talking about Timmy Jernigan, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes 2 seconds out of your day to make mine, and I'd be very, very appreciative to everybody that chooses to do so. And while you're at it, go down into the link in the description, go over to my second channel, Right Around Productions, and go sub to that for daily Lions highlight videos. I just released one on Matthew Stafford, and tomorrow I will be doing another Detroit Lions player. Now, with that being said, let's get into talking about Timmy Jernigan and why he's the perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. Now, Timmy Jernigan is a former second-round pick as he was selected 48th overall in the 2014 NFL Draft by the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Timmy Jernigan was a member of the 2014 All-Rookie team and was a member of the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl 52 championship roster. Now, he is only 27 years old and plays the defensive tackle position. However, he has also played defensive end in the NFL. Last year, he played in 10 games for the Philadelphia Eagles, totaled 10 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 quarterback sacks. Looking at advanced stats, he had 1 quarterback knockdown and 3 pressures. Now, you look at those stats and you say, okay, that's an okay guy, but why is he the perfect free agent? Well, Timmy Jernigan has never played in more than 60% of the snaps he's never played more than 60% of the defensive snaps in his career. So he has not been given the opportunity to make a huge impact. He's never played in over 60% of a team's defensive snaps throughout an entire season. And last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, he only had 3 games in which he played more than 50% of the snaps. And we will get into that a little bit later on why that is, but he's not been given the opportunity or as large of an opportunity to be successful as many other defensive tackles in the NFL. Why would the Detroit Lions want a guy like Timmy Jernigan? Well, first off, we obviously have a big hole at the defensive tackle spot behind Danny Shelton. We brought in Danny Shelton, who's a good defensive tackle, but behind that, there's a lot of question marks. Whether it's going to be Nick Williams, John Pennicini, Jayshon Cornell, Kevin Strong, Dalen Mack. All these guys are, late round draft picks, undrafted free agents, and very, very unproven guys and have not been in the NFL for very long. Now, Timmy Jernigan is obviously a veteran player. He's been in the NFL for 7 years now and is only 27 years old. So he's not that old, only 27. I mean, he still has a couple years left in his prime. So even if we sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, that's going to end when he's 30. And, he's still going to be at his athletic peak. He's still going to be at, the height and his prime as an NFL player. Timmy Jernigan, when I'm watching his tape, he's a good run stopper and a good pass rusher. He's not necessarily great at either, but he's very solid at both. He can stop the run and he can rush the passer very, very well. And I've heard, I did some research. I watched a lot of Philadelphia Eagles, fans talk about him. And from what I could see, he's a great locker room presence. This guy, he's motivational. He keeps spirits up. He's just a great locker room guy to have around. And great locker room guys are never a bad thing to have in Detroit. Now, one other thing that I noticed about him is he has a very high motor. Like, he does not play a lot. He does not play a lot of snaps. But when he's on the field, he is relentless. He is pushing and fighting and scratching. And he's trying to get every inch that he can. And he has a very good motor and something, that is something we've talked about with other players that I love players that have high motors. I hate players that give up in the middle of a play that think, oh, the play's over, they're going to the other side. For me, I did my job, my play is over. No, the play is not over till the whistle blows, and he understands that, and he fights for every inch. Every single play until the whistle is blown, he is fighting, and that is something I love to see out of him. And then the last pro is that, he is from the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, as I just said. He just came from there. It was released by the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason. And guess where our defensive coordinator is from? Our new defensive coordinator, Corey Unlin, is also from Philadelphia. So he's worked with this guy before a little bit. Obviously, Corey Unlin being a secondary coach and Timmy Jernigan being a defensive tackle, they obviously didn't work together a lot, but, all the defensive coaches are working together, and, all the defensive coaches work with all the defensive players at some point. It just is how it is. And, even though Corey Unlin is a defensive backs coach, I guarantee he's talked with the defensive line saying, what they need to do to help the secondary out and vice versa. So, he's worked with him before. He knows exactly what Timmy Jernigan is all about. And, that could be a reason Timmy Jernigan wants to come here, is if he wants to play with with a former Philadelphia Eagles coach that, you know, he worked with before. He wants to come to Detroit, and maybe he wants to work with Corey Undlin again and give Corey Undlin another shot. Now, looking at some of the cons, right? Because he's not a perfect fit. I mean, I know I said he's the perfect fit for us, but he is not necessarily the, you know, he's not without flaw. Nobody is. Now, Timmy Jernigan has had some injury concerns throughout his career. He had spinal surgery after the 2017 NFL season, and he's had some small nagging injuries here or there with foot and ankle kind of stuff. And the reason he's still a free agent is because he failed his physical with the Houston Texans. He was originally signed with the Houston Texans. I believe it was a 1-year, $4 million deal, and he failed his physical, so the deal fell through. But if he is healthy and he is on the field, he's a very, very good player, and he's much better than what we have right now at the defensive tackle position. So if we can bring him in here and he passes a physical, then the injury concern isn't a big deal, because if he passes his physical, he's obviously good to go, and we can add him right into this defensive tackle spot. And then the last thing is his lack of production, right? Only 2 sacks last season, playing in 10 games, only 10 tackles. Like, that doesn't seem like very good production, but look at who was on that Eagles defensive line. This is one of the best defensive line in football, and with all the injuries that Eagles had last year, their defensive line was relatively healthy. Now, he was stuck behind guys like Fletcher Cox, who was an all-pro, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion defensive tackle, one of the best in the NFL. He stuck behind a guy like Brandon Graham, who, you know, again, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion, all-pro caliber kind of player. Vinny Curry, who's a very, very solid defensive tackle. And he stuck behind guys like Derek Barnett, the former first-round selection, who had the second most sacks on the team last year with 6.5. So this Eagles defensive line was juiced. I mean, they had so many players. They had so many talented guys on that roster that, you know, he never really had a shot to play. I mean, he played very well with the Baltimore Ravens when he was there. He played okay with the Philadelphia Eagles, not quite as well as the Baltimore Ravens, but at the same time, you know, look at that defensive line. If you're stuck behind guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett and Vinny Curry, can you really blame him for not getting the playing time? Like, it wasn't even his fault. Like, how can anybody compete with that? How can anybody compete with that defensive line that's not an Aaron Donald, that's not a, you know, superstar defensive tackle? Because, you know, he's not a superstar. He's a very solid player, but Timmy Jernigan is not a superstar. He's not an Aaron Donald. And how can you expect anybody that's not at that caliber to come in and compete and get, get great playing time? How can you expect anybody to get any more playing time than he got when he's stuck behind those guys? Like, I mean, it's almost a miracle that he got 2.5 sacks, or that he got 2 sacks, that he got 3 tackles for loss, that he got 3 quarterback hits, because he did not play a lot. He wasn't given the opportunity to do so. And if he does play a lot, you know, his production is going to jump tremendously. And I think in a defensive line with, you know, Trey Flowers and Danny Shelton that are going to be taking away all the pressure, but we don't have another guy at that second defensive tackle spot that can really, you know, compete and really be up to the level of those guys. So if we bring in Timmy Jernigan, he's going to be put right next to a guy in Danny Shelton, and we're going to have Trey Flowers, Danny Shelton, Timmy Jernigan, and Julian Okwara rushing the passer. That's a very good pass rush, and, you know, that kind of completes our defensive line. A lot of Lions fans have been talking, you know, we don't have the guys in the defensive line. We don't have the guys, to rush the passer. But, you know, then if we add him, that kind of completes the defensive line, right? Because Trey Flowers is going to start at end. Danny Shelton's going to start at defensive tackle. Timmy Jernigan if he's here, he's going to get playing time because he's going to beat out Nick Williams. He's going to beat out Jayshon Cornell. He's going to beat out John Pennicity and Kevin Strong and Dalen Mack because he's better than all those guys. And then we have Julian Okwara on the other end rushing as that jack role. And then we have Deshaun Hand, who we can move around and rotate pretty much at any position. We can move Deshaun Hand to edge rusher. We can put him at defensive tackle. We can, do a lot of things with Deshaun Hand. And that rotation in that group of guys is a great defensive line core. And, I feel like adding Timmy Jernigan just absolutely completes this defensive line for the Detroit Lions. With that being said, what do you guys think about Timmy Jernigan? I haven't heard his name mentioned a lot by Detroit Lions fans or anything, but, looking at him, looking at what he did last season, look at what he's done throughout his career, and just looking at some of the reasons he hasn't been elite, I feel like all of them are fixable and all of them are correctable in Detroit. Most of it is playing time, and in Detroit, he's going to get more playing time than he got on a stacked Baltimore defensive line, on a stacked Eagles defensive line, because the Lions don't have a stacked defensive line. He's going to get more playing time here than he will pretty much anywhere else. And, I really think bringing him in will complete this defensive line and make it a much scarier unit than it is right now. With that being said, though, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about Timmy Jernigan? Do you think we should bring him in and give him a shot at Detroit, reunite him with Corey Unlin, and see what he can add to this defensive line? Or do you think we just stick with the guys that we have? Do you think we just stick with, the Nick Williams, the John Penicinis, the Jayshon Cornells at defensive tackle too, and maybe sub in Deshaun Hand there once or twice? Maybe sub in Deshaun Hand there every now and then. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. But with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. If there is Lions news before tomorrow, I'll obviously make a video letting everybody know. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And with that, I'm out. Bye, guys.